Good evening, everyone. My name is Jack Vaughan, and I'm your host tonight for Democratic Television, DTV. I'm a field organizer with the Knox County Democratic Party, and I'm a local organizer helping get great folks elected from school board to county mayor to governor. And I'm excited about this 2022 election cycle where we have many Democratic candidates running, including our guest today. Annabelle Henley is a Democratic candidate for Knox County School Board District 9, which is all of South Knox County. And I'm excited to introduce you all to Annabelle tonight. Annabelle, can you introduce yourself?
I will be happy to. So I'm Annabelle Henley, and how much do you want me to talk about myself, Jack?
Yeah, go ahead and give your pitch and introduce.
Okay. All right. So I am a mother of five. I work at the Knox County Health Department and run the women's clinic there, and have always thought about running for school board, but with five kids, life was a little crazy, but they are all grown now. In fact, we're expecting 2 grandchildren this year. So I'm in a different stage of life, and I find that I have time to really devote to this election and also to this position. So I'm just looking forward to representing South Knoxville and all of South Knox County.
Awesome. You hinted at it a little bit. So what are the specific reasons this year that you're seeking this Board of Education seat in 2020?
Well, you know, I've kind of been watching, and I have been in and out of the schools. I've volunteered some with local youth swimming programs and other things, and just have seen a huge, almost starvation of resources in our schools. And then I have a lot of friends that teach, and several that are staff at schools, teaching assistants and secretaries and other positions, and they are so underpaid. And I was mortified at how little, for example, that we pay our educational assistants. And so part of my job at the health department is to try to find money for things and to work through processes and to try to figure out how we can make resources available. And I would like to apply that to the resources our schools are lacking. I'm also concerned, about children not being on grade level in so many things. And I know we've got great teachers, and I know they're doing the best they can with what they've got. And so we need to figure out what's going on. I know that the Knox County Schools has really been looking into this, but I would like to be a part of some more positive change to really measure how our children are doing based on academics. I feel like we're running a whole lot of assessments and things like that are taking away from valuable teaching time. And so I'd like to kind of streamline that process. A lot of what I do at the health department is QI, trying to figure out what's wrong and fix it so it works better. And I think that applying that to the Knox County schools processes would be a good and helpful thing. And then I've long been concerned about some of the inequities that I've seen across Knox County. And so I want to address those as well and look at some of the educational disparities and see what we might be able to do to right those wrongs.
Exactly. Yeah. And you talked about resources. Specifically, what are the needs and deficiencies in your district that you would like to fulfill as the next board member?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously, this is a county commission issue, but they're building a lot of houses in South Knoxville, and we don't have the educational infrastructure to support those. So I'll really want to work hand in hand with county commission in, number one, trying to control where homes are being built and looking into the fact, do we have schools to educate all the children that are going to be moving into these houses? So just the fact that we have only one high school, in South Knox County, and there used to be a South and a Young and a Doyle, and then there was a South Young and a Doyle, and now there's just a South Doyle. So I mean, we've gone from 3 high schools to 1, and I don't know if that's the best model, but I think we need to look into it. And then we obviously, the elementary schools are busting at the seams, and we don't have. I went to a dinner for Dogwood the other night because they don't have a decent playground, and they're having to raise money on the side to do that. And that, to me, is just, it shouldn't happen. So, and then I'm concerned about inequities throughout the district. If you're in a wealthy part of Knoxville, like even around the Dogwood area, they can raise the funds for a playground. But what about in more economically disadvantaged areas where they don't have the funds to get that nice playground or whatever? They can't have, $35 plate dinners to do that. So those are some other concerns that I have, that there would, it's the equity across the school system that I would like to see changed.
Yeah, thinking of South Knoxville Elementary and Sequoia as another example, where there are those foundations where people are able to give money and have parents that are willing to do extra support. Like, you can see how good some elementary schools can be with that extra support and that full funding, even if it's outside funding.
And I know that, the parents in other areas of the county want to be able to provide that, but at this point they don't have, and they're working, and they don't have time to go and volunteer at the school, and they don't have the resources to provide the extra funding, and that shouldn't be. So, and I'm very concerned about that. So would like to see that remedied.
Yeah. In the same light, do you think that there should be an official statement supporting equity in education? And how, as a board member, can you monitor equity from school to school and across the county?
So I think looking at outcomes, yes. First of all, yes, I do feel like there needs to be a policy, a statement about equity in educational disparities. And I feel like it can be monitored by monitoring the educational outcomes. What are we looking at different schools, and what can we do to raise some schools' outcomes to mirror those that maybe are a little bit more advantaged? So how do we even the playing field?
Right. So one of the more hot button issues, even statewide, is charter schools and vouchers. What's your position on the governor's proposal to collaborate with Hillsdale College specifically on civics education and creating graduates who are informed patriots, as the Governor Lee has put it?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that. No, I'm very concerned about that. I'll just be really honest. I don't feel like that's the right direction that our state needs to be going in. We're a diverse state with a lot of different beliefs and a lot of different cultural backgrounds, and to bring one set of cultural belief systems in to educate massive amounts of children does not seem equitable to me at all. And I'm not in favor of his plan at all. And I'm very concerned about the bills that are in front of our state legislature right now about taking control away from the local school boards and putting it at the state level. I read an article today about how charter schools are trying to fail at the local level so that they can then apply at the state level, so that they won't be under local control. And that's not what our school systems are about. Yeah.
And at large, vouchers in no state have proven effective.
Yeah. Vouchers, that's just, it's almost laughable that they are still pushing that, because there's no, everything about public health, and I know I keep going back to that, but that's where I am right now. Everything about public health is evidence-based, and there's no evidence that shows that vouchers improve educational outcomes. And there are some good charter schools out there, but they're few and far between, and they're usually run by the community in support of the community, not from an outside group from Michigan or a hedge fund or whoever might be setting up the charter school. So,
yeah, the idea of vouchers and the folks that are pushing them is kind of like they're throwing their hands up and giving up on public education, and frankly, defunding public education. Exactly. So, like you said, it makes no sense, and there's no data to back voucher programs.
Right. Yeah, if it worked, that would be one thing. Then we could at least consider, but it doesn't even work, and it defunds public education. So it's like a lose-lose.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think that the current level of funding in Knox County schools covers the basic education needs? I know you hinted at this earlier, but is there a budgetary amount that you would ask from the state or county commission for?
So I'm not, I'm still learning a lot. And as far as exact numbers, I do not know exactly what we need from the county to be fully funded as a county educational system. However, again, I want to find more money because it's there. We're spending it in ways that we don't need to, and we need to look at how we are spending our money in the county and redirect it to the schools. I've been knocking on doors, and I've had a couple people say, "Oh, I don't have kids anymore. I don't care about the school board." And my response to that is, when an educational system starts to fail, the community fails. And so as community members, we need to be very concerned about our schools and about how our children are being educated, because they're our future. And if we want our community to be successful, we have to help. We have to find money to support these teachers, to support the physical plant of these schools, and to get it up to the level that it needs to be. There's money there. Mm-hmm. We just have to find it.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet from a gubernatorial candidate that said an underfunded public education is an underfunded future.
Yes, that is so good. Yes, that is so good.
So much at stake with some of these local elections, and it all starts locally with folks like Annabelle running in District 9. What are your thoughts on additional support staff in certain schools that need that to relieve some of the stress on teachers?
In looking at the way our schools function, we have a minimal amount of support staff that are very poorly paid. That, to me, is probably the number one area that we need to look at. We obviously need to increase teacher pay as well. But I think that most all the teachers I've talked to, they're way more concerned about their support staff than they are about themselves, which I think is normal teacher. They're so, they're giving and they're thinking of others. But I do think that we need, especially after coming out of the pandemic, if we ever come out of it, but I think we are headed into at least a different way to deal with it. We've got to have more mental health support in the schools, and I think that's some support staff it's greatly lacking. But just having enough teachers need to be able to leave their class with someone, to be able to to feel good about the different folks that they have helping them. And my friend who works at Hardin Valley told me they're down to 3 janitors for the whole school. I mean, that's a huge building, but they're all leaving to go work at Amazon or Target or wherever. And it's just, we've got to be able to retain what we do have and add what we need.
Yeah. In the same light, you talked about how some of the elementary schools in South Knoxville are bursting at the seams.
Exactly.
Are there ideal ratios for student to teachers or student to the nurses and support staff that you would like to strive for?
So there are, different models have different ratios, and how many teachers per student. And I think that we need to. I know this sounds horrible, and everybody that comes in new wants to do this, but I really think there needs to be an overhaul of that, to really look at what we have now, and how that meets the national models that are, that the National Education Association says are the best way to handle these things. And so, yes, there are, and we are above them. So I want to look at that. And different schools have different situations. But this year, or the past 2 years, it's been so crazy. So many classes are being covered by educational assistants, and because teachers have been out. And I think this is a great time. We're moving out of the pandemic. We need to really take a good look at what our ratios are and what we want them to be.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess wrapping up, are there any other issues that we didn't touch on that you would like to address?
I feel like that's something that the school board has been addressing, and I'm looking forward to being a part of, is more career and technical education. And that's not part of my major platform, but I do feel like that's something that we need to head more in that direction. And I know that that's often mentioned, that is lacking, not just in our area, but across the state. And so I would like to, I want to continue to further that initiative.
Yes, I like that as well. So thank you so much, Annabelle, for spending some time with us, and for introducing yourself. Is there anywhere where that folks that are interested can learn more about you and follow along?
Yes. So I've kind of picked up the tag Annabelle for Education with the number 4. So ANNABEL and then the number 4 and education. And that's on Instagram and Facebook. And then Twitter, it's just Annabelle for Ed, because Annabelle for Education was too long. And then I have a website, annabelleforeducation.com. So you can find me in all the places.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm super excited about the Board of Education. races this year. Everyone, good evening. My name is Jack Vaughan, and I'm a field organizer with the Knox County Democratic Party. And I am so excited to get to kick off our school board interviews with Katherine, a candidate for 4th District School Board on Knox County's Board of Education. And the 4th District runs from Sequoia Hills all the way down North Shore, down to the North Shore Town Center. And it includes places along Ebenezer and up to West Hills and Kingston Pike, that area. Lots of West Knoxville. And District 4 has gotten more and more competitive over the years. And this year, I truly believe, is the year that we can win it. And we have an amazing candidate in Katherine Bike. So I would like to introduce Katherine Bike, candidate for school board.
Hello.
Hey. So school board races have gotten more attention, more intense in recent years with some of the issues that have come up around vouchers, around some curriculum issues. But for 2022, what are some of the main reasons that you decided that this was the year that you wanted to step up and run for District 4 school board?
Well, first, I didn't realize it was going to be like this. I have just always really felt passionate about community, and my kids are in 2nd and 4th grade at Sequoia Hills Elementary. And just over the years and an experience in seeing the community, I really want to be a part of that. I really wish that I really love efficiency, and I want to be a part of an efficient board.
What experiences from your life do you hope to apply in your approach to being a school board member, particularly as a parent?
Well, I think I have a broad amount of experience previously from the birdhouse and running that. In 4th and Gill, I really loved connecting with people and getting people together to kind of think about things. And then also we basically ran that with no budget. So that was a nice challenge. But I really loved that. And then working with the Little Bellas, which is mentoring little girls through mountain biking. I've been doing that for a little while, and I really love connecting with the little girls, and it has a scholarship program. So we really get a broad spectrum of little girls ages 7 to 13. And I've seen the difference that I've been able to make one-on-one in kids' lives, and that has meant a whole lot to me. And those are kids that are here in Knox County, and I really want to do, serve all of Knox County realistically, but I know that this is just District 4. But also, my son went through the early intervention system, TEIS, and that was really difficult for me. And I consider myself a pretty privileged person, and it was still really difficult to have to do 4 therapies a week, every single week for a year and a half. And then when he turned 3, to kind of be told, we see that you have, or that he still has some issues, but we really don't have programs or the things that might need because he's not failing enough. And definitely as a mother, I'm never going to let him fail. So for better or worse, I'm going to find those supports. And also, I really want to find those supports for all the children in Knox County.
Yeah. Tennessee Early Intervention has been a huge program that's helped out lots of kids. And I know you particularly are thankful for that.
Yes, so much.
Are there any other special programs that you think could be applied countywide? Anything particular at Sequoia Hills Elementary that you want to take?
Sequoia Hills Elementary has a lot of stuff that is really nice, and I'm very thankful for, and they have implemented it so well. And I would really love to see those things be in all of the elementary schools, specific to kind of behavioral stuff and outreach in that way. But also, they have a lot of really nice STEM programs, STEAM programs. And I know that Sequoia Hills has a foundation, but I think that there's a way to figure out how to do this in the budget to get that for all the kids at all the schools.
What are some of the important needs or deficiencies that can be filled by the Board of Education specifically? You talked about taking a different approach to the budget.
Yeah. I definitely think looking at past budgets, comparing those, figuring out what really worked, and then trimming it to see, what didn't work. Where are the things that, like this, like maybe something sounds really good, but maybe not as necessary as something else. Like, Project Grad, when they wanted to cut that, and, going back to finding the budget and really digging through line by line.
Another pertinent topic that the Board of Education has taken up is the equity statement. Do you see a need for such a statement in education, and what specifically would you like to include in that?
I absolutely see a need for an equity statement, especially if you look at Knox County and really see how diverse it is. I know we're kind of in sections, and District 4 might not have as much diversity as other districts, but this is for all of Knox County. And I want all children and teachers and parents to really feel like they are a part of all of the schools. And I think having an equity policy really just puts a standard to start from and build from there. You can always add things to it also. So many districts have equity policies. I think it's Cincinnati Public Schools has a really nice and thorough equity and excellence policy. That's really nice. So I think there are a lot of examples out there for us to really work from.
Yeah. And in looking at other districts too, not only with an equity statement or with budgets, have you looked into any other districts to take ideas, or even other schools in Knox County to apply that to District 4 schools? I guess what have you learned in your research when looking to run for this seat and bring ideas to the table? There are probably so many that I couldn't list them all off the top of my head that do have equity policies. And that was kind of surprising to see that Knox County might be a little bit behind the times in that we don't have one. And it's so surprising that people aren't willing to just, work with put kind of a base level thing in there to work from that. So one of the issues that I hear from parents and teachers about the future of education is the impending threat of defunded and underfunded public schools, particularly the discussion regarding vouchers. And that's gotten more and more pertinent this year, particularly as the legislature is in session. What is your stance on vouchers and funding of public schools in general?
I really believe in fully funded public schools, and I'm not for vouchers. I especially don't love the ones that have been introduced in Tennessee that are proposing to take $7,300 per child away from each school each year. That's so surprising and baffling to me. I would love to see the schools be funded more than they are. That would be fully funded so that all the schools can have all of these programs that all of these children need. Yeah, that's a huge reason why I'm also doing this.
Yeah, that's an important issue. I know there's polling out there that shows moderate voters, even many Republican voters, over a third, don't approve of school voucher programs. So I think that that's going to be a huge issue this year particularly.
And I think also educating people on what the voucher programs actually are, because, that was something that, so my kids are in 2nd and 4th grade, and that's something that I first heard back when my daughter was starting kindergarten so many years ago. And I thought, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. And then when I started reading into it, it was like, wait a minute. Nope.
Yeah. Putting a dollar amount on the value of a student, just that alone feels wrong.
Yeah. Well, and then when you realize like where it goes and the lack of oversight and just all the things that fall from that.
Yeah. And it also kind of feels like politicians are giving up on public schools. Like rather than increasing the budget, they want to attach a dollar amount to every kid and start draining that money kid by kid out of our public schools, when in reality we should be increasing the budget for our public schools, and making sure that they're at a place where Sequoia Hills Elementary is lucky to have that foundation. I think
I wish that Sequoia Hills didn't have to have that foundation. I wish that they could have that school be fully funded without it. I think that would be the goal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, vouchers was one issue that I've heard from parents and teachers a lot. In talking with teachers and educators specifically, have you heard any other issues come up that you want to take to the Board of Education?
Well, it definitely ties to the budget, but teacher pay, I think that's a huge one that everyone has heard about. I think that our teachers are not respected as much as they should be as professionals, and teachers, librarians, the staff, just everyone that's in a school is a really hard job. And it's been a really hard job over the last 2 years. And I really respect all of them that are working in schools with all of these kids through all this stuff. Yeah. Other things would be staffing shortages, substitutes, really figuring out, are we reaching out to people? How are we hiring people? Finding quality candidates. Are we, relying on, just the parents and community to kind of fill in these spots, or are we actively going out and finding, quality teachers to go fill these spots? Maybe if we had more incentives, better incentives, and a better pay rate, we could attract and retain teachers.
So I guess wrapping up, are there any other issues on your platform that are pertinent that you would like to discuss before heading out?
I think also just having my goal would be to have a board that really works well together. That really goes into meetings, that can get in there and discuss things and not necessarily just argue about them, and make progress with each meeting and each work session.
For sure. But I'm excited to have you on the school board representing District 4 going forward. And I definitely want to remind everyone that August of 2022 will be the general election for school board, all the other county general elections for county mayor, trustee. And this August election is going to be the most important local race in a very long time. So definitely get involved. In May, the primary is May 3rd, and August 4th is the general. Those are the 2 dates to definitely mark in your calendar. So Kat, would you like to pitch your website and social media if people want to follow along and learn more?
Sure. My website is Bike for School Board, and it's the FOR, not the number 4, .com. And I'm on social media as well, on Facebook, which is the @Bike and the number 4 School Board. And the same for Instagram, but Twitter, we had to shorten that one a little bit, and that one is Bike the number 4 Schools.
So thank you for watching DTV, and have a good evening, everyone.